No, I don't know whether my speech would be beautiful or not. Okay. Respected Executive Chairman, Onkar sir, colleagues from MSME department and Startup Odisha, and dear participants of this event. Executive Chairman has already narrated you about the startup ecosystem that's being developed, being nurtured and being envisaged for the future in Odisha. I would just give you a background of how we reached up to this point. Odisha had always had a good number of large industries, but somehow the industrialization, which basically meant having many medium and small size industries, that didn't happen for various reasons. Therefore, to give emphasis on MSMEs, in 2012 MSME department was created by carving it out from the conventional industries department. So our MSME department is just now 10 years old. After the MSME department was created, in 2016 Government of Odisha came out with a state MSME policy, state food processing policy, and that time, as startup concept was gaining ground in the entire country, and as sir has already narrated, Odisha government always remains one step ahead of Government of India, be it in COVID management or in startup, or you take up any good new idea, you would be finding that Odisha government would be if not one step ahead, at least would be running parallelly to Government of India's thought processes. So when startup concept was gaining ground in 2016 under MSME department, Government of Odisha came out with the startup policy. That time this startup Odisha, this O-Hub, nothing had been planned, nothing had been envisaged. So to implement the various provisions of startup policy, we Government of Odisha created a startup council headed by the Chief Secretary, and it was basically handled by the MSME department. So the MSME department through the startup council initiated the very initial actions, like giving some grants to the kind of precursors to incubators, some well-known startups at that time, etc. And when the startup activities increased, then we created a startup secretariat. That time this building had not been given to us, so we have one institute of entrepreneurship development in Mancheswar, IED Bhubaneswar, Mancheswar. So the startup secretariat, having few staff, very skeletal staff, was created in IED Bhubaneswar, and the startup activities were looked after by the startup secretariat in IED Bhubaneswar. Then in about 2020, by the government realized that startup activities will be big activities and it cannot be managed by the department or a dedicated cell kind of thing, what we called at that time a startup secretariat. So perhaps there is a need to have a dedicated organization, kind of a company. So the concept of creating a Section 8 not-for-profit company came up, and that's how the Startup Odisha, this company was registered sometime in, I think, June or July 2021 as a Section 8 not-for-profit company. So this is the Startup Odisha that we generally refer to is a government control, 100% government owned, government controlled company registered under Section 8 of the Companies Act. So this entire building, this land, this premises, all these things, currently now technically it belongs to IDCO currently, but would ultimately be standing in the name of Startup Odisha company, for which MSME department would be spending not less than 300 to 400 crores, 330 crores to be paid to IDCO for this land, for this building and everything. So this entire facility, this entire campus will be standing in the name of Startup Odisha very soon. And so now Startup Odisha will have two activities in this entire campus broadly. One is Startup Odisha as a company looking after the startup ecosystem of the entire state. Then its own O-Hub here. All these facilities, all these two towers, all the floors, the working space, etc. would be managed by the Startup Odisha company as its own hub, opportunity hub, where all the various startup units, some incubators, some centers of excellences would be housed. So the two functions that we will be doing in this entire campus is that one, general Startup Odisha company affairs, which will be looking after developing the ecosystem in the entire state, and second is particularly running this O-Hub. And this O-Hub had been inaugurated by the Honorable CM exactly on this date last year, and we are now celebrating the first anniversary. That doesn't mean that Startup Odisha would not be in touch with the other incubators or other hubs that would be coming up in other parts of Odisha. Yes, as the company to look after the entire startup ecosystem of Odisha, Startup Odisha would also be actively involved and associated with all incubators which would be housed outside this building or premises. So currently we have about 24 or 25 incubators. We have only one in that we count our own incubator as one. So other than that, all the remaining 23 or 24 incubators are outside. So and we expect, as sir has said, we expect more and more incubators to come up so that everybody can be nurtured by Startup Odisha. So all the incubators that would be coming up in Odisha, and there are some startups who do not come through incubators. They come directly. Like out of the 1400 odd startups that we speak today, out of that about 200 or 250 have come through. That I think that is a correct figure. About 200 to 250 have come up through some incubator system. Remaining 1200 have come up directly. Like if I'm a startup, I have my own building, own premises, own working space. I don't need any incubator support. I can come up directly, and so they can also be, the direct startups also can be assisted by the Startup Odisha. So, but we want and we hope that the incubators would also come up in large numbers, and they would nurture more and more startups, because in incubator a startup also gets some extra facilities like mentor-mentee connect, investor connect, then other hand-holding support, etc. they can get if a startup is housed in a incubator. But bottom line is that whether through incubator or without incubator, Startup Odisha is there to help all startups. Number 3 is that in this O-Hub, okay, we have now 26 startups who have been allowed to function from O-Hub, and today I think some more would be 28 would be given scope to work from here. See, startup, because it is startup as such is not a guarantee to success in itself. No, world statistics says that not many startups actually become successful entrepreneurs going forward. But there is no harm in trying. But at the same time, once we build capacities in this building, more and more startups would be housed in this building. And the ultimate target, perhaps, sir, if I am not wrong, I think about your target is about 1,000 startups to be located here. Yeah. About 1,000 startups to be given working space in this building. Okay, so when more and more startups would be vying for space in this building, there would be a space constraint. And what will naturally be done? The older startups would be asked to shift out of these facilities. In general, throughout India, you would also find that even in incubators, generally a startup is given a facility to work in that incubator for roughly for 2 years. Maybe in some cases 2.5, maximum 3 years. Because the startup, whether it will go forward or not, will be known very easily within 2 to 3 years max. So that is the kind of initial launching pad support any incubator outside this building will give, or we also in the building will give. So my point of saying this to all the young entrepreneurs is that if you have been given a space here or any other incubator, please don't think that that is going to be a permanent space. That space is a temporary space. It's a launching pad for a period of max 2 to 3 years. Within 2 to 3 years, you have to move out to some your own facilities. Until that time, that incubator will handhold you. So that is the concept. So gradually we'll be having more and more startups here, but at the same time the older startups have to also mature to a level where they can move out and have their own business from some other facilities. MSME department is the administrative department of this Startup Odisha. and we provide all the funds to this Startup Odisha company for its and all assets and etc. As sir has said that the current policy is under review and a new policy is likely to come up within a couple of months, which will be better than this policy. As such, the current policy is one of the best in India, and the new policy is likely to galvanize the startup ecosystem more and more. My last piece of advice to all the startup ecosystem young potential entrepreneurs is that please work hard, don't take things for granted. Don't see, as sir has said, many other states don't pay a grant, but we pay grant. See, don't take it as a very kind of granted thing that okay, I have got a grant, so I can use or misuse it in any way I like, and tomorrow maybe government will give me some more grant. Like, it's not a loan waiver kind of scheme that we come across in every 3 to 4 years. It's not so. The money is very important. Please, because we have come, I have been told in 1 or 2 cases where one young entrepreneur was given money by an angel investor, and next month he purchased an Audi out of that money. So please don't do that, because this opportunity will never come to you again. And once you become, once you create a bad image of yourself, it will be very difficult, almost impossible to come back with that kind of confidence in the ecosystem again. So please be careful about the assistance you are getting from angel investors, from government, from other charitable organizations or people, and try work hard. There is no, absolutely don't fear about failure, but we must give our 100%. The problem is failing. The problem is if you fail by not giving your 100%, that is problematic. But if you fail by giving your 100%, then that is not a problem. In fact, that is a success. So with this, I conclude my speech. I wish Startup Odisha all the best, and all the ecosystem people of Startup Odisha all the best in their future endeavors. Thank you.